Hey there folks, it's Reem with a Conquest video, this time focusing on the Mounted Noble Lord from the 100 Kingdoms and 5 of my favorite warbands that I run the Mounted Noble Lord in, to just give you an idea of how I personally like to run them, give you inspiration on how to run the Noble Lord yourself. It's a quick little lore blurb. It's the classic fantasy medieval knight, like King Arthurian kind of legend, born noble, train all their lives to lead forces into battle, and that's especially important in the conquest world because you're nothing with, men with sticks trying to fight giants and wolves and all these, creatures of fantasy, while you are just a humble human horse combo. I also pulled out from the lore page that Parabellum has just a picture of the model that they have painted. This is why I got into 100 Kingdom. The medieval knight look here just kind of sold me on the faction, and it's probably why the Mountain Noble Lord is still one of my favorite characters. But let's get into from the aesthetics into the actual stats. So here we have the stats. I kind of sum stuff up on the right, but things that I want to point out here that kind of stuck out to me was that the Mountain Noble Lord is actually 130 points, making it the most expensive character that 100 Kingdoms can take, even more so than the Priory Commander. And you're getting a lot for that. You're getting a very good brawler, hitting on 3s at base and defending on 3s, but they have shield. If the Supremacy ability is active for feudal, they're rerolling 6s on clashes and defense. They also get Brutal Impact 2 and Impact 3 in general as just base rules. They can also take a different weapon art to either get cleave or plus impacts. I usually do the tourney champion for plus impacts. Personal note to point out that's different from the app versus PDF is that the PDF specifies you can only take 2 household knight regiments, where normally the app just lets you do that. So just know that it's a bug in the app. You need to use the PDF. And also you can see other options that they have in the warband is pretty solid. All the normal feudal stuff, plus mercenary crossbowsmen, and they have restricted of longbowmen and household guards. So like I said, for the weapon arts, over on the right, probably tourney champion, but maybe weapon master if you want the cleave. For the key mastery, I think is eccentric fighting style. That's going to give you +2 attacks, and you get to reroll all hits. That will include your impacts. So again, the reroll impacts when you're impacting on 3s, pretty good, or 4s. We'll get into that. Downside of eccentric fighting style is you do need the reroll defense. So in duels, it weakens you a little bit, although I believe it will counteract with your reroll 6s on defense. If 2 reroll abilities could potentially happen, they cancel each other out. So I believe you'll still be defending on 4s, assuming that you have your shield. Key heirloom is Oliphant's Roar. It gives +1 clash for impacts, and it gives terrifying 1 until end of round. So that's going to give, impacts on 4s, rerolling everything for eccentric. That's also going to give it to the household knights that are in it, so they're going to be also impacting on 4s. So very, very, very strong and terrifying until end of round. So if you do get the charge clash, you're also going to begin the terrifying on the clash. Point of caution though is the build is just for the character 185 points. So it's not a throwaway character. You want to make sure you get your money's worth out of them. And as I've already pointed out, if you're feudal supremacy somewhere else in the army or with the Noble Lord, it'll add that bubble of 8 inches of rerolling 6s on clashes and defense. So let's get into some warbands. This is my base. This is one that I run a lot, or you'll see in a lot of the warbands. It's nice 400 points, so it's a good filler warband, and you got that Oliphant's Roar, and you have eccentric fighting style with tourney champion. So just the Lord himself, you're going to get 5 impacts, clash 4, rerolling misses, brutal impact 2, terrifying. It's going to hit a lot heavier than most people expect from a household knight. Also, just even on the clash, you're getting 7 attacks at clash 3 or 4 if you're inspired, rerolling misses. The knights that are coming with you, if you have 4 stands, it's going to be 12 impacts, hitting at Clash 4 with Brutal Impact 1 and Terrifying 1. And then on the Clash, you'll get 5 attacks at Clash 3, rerolling your 6s. And possibly still Terrifying if you charge that turn. This is a great filler warband. I use this, if I got like 400 points left. This is a great filler. It gives you great hammer and anvil. They're pretty sturdy at defense 4 with rerolling 6s, unless you're running into something with cleave, or if you're letting the unit get flanked. But if it's just something that's like a grind down unit with not a lot of cleave, but it's just there with a lot of stands, this can chew through the stands while still being fairly tanky, although the Household Knights are only 4 wounds. Alright, Warband 2. Don't hate me because of the squares. I know squares are kind of an interesting topic in 100 Kingdoms. I like I like 1 unit of squares for the most part. If I have room in my list, if I had 540 points instead of 400, I'll add in a unit of mounted squires just to push that reinforcement line up in the early turns. You can thread in a ranged unit in the mid to late game. If you threaten those kind of things, because they're like movement 9, they don't hit very hard, but they can tie up a unit. So your opponent might not only be worried about the ranged unit, but they'll have another unit in place to counteract the squires if they do come in. So you can kind of tie up maybe 2 units of concern for your opponent with the mounted squires, but I won't expect a whole lot of them. But they are nice to have if you have the points. They fit in nice to this warband. This is the heavy horse warband. As you'll notice, it's all horses. So we have the hammer and anvil wolf pack, plus a unit MSU Household Knights. I think MSU Household Knights is just solid. And then we have 2 units of mounted squires because we're capped at 2 Household Knights. Why would I take 2 mounted squires? I said I only ever like 1 mounted squire. Well, if I'm running heavy orders like all cav, this is your all cav warband. The only way that you're getting light in 100 Kingdom with cavalry is mounted squires. And I think you probably want at least 2 light units right now in the current meta. So get those 2 units of squires. They're not very point efficient, but you're probably going to be bringing in Ashen Dawn and stuff later in the game to make up, the efficiency in points. So 2 units of mounted squires just to harass your opponent. Make sure you don't get, totally pushed in, hopefully, in the first couple rounds of the game. And then those Household Knights coming out with like Sealed Temple and stuff in round 2 and 3. And Ashen Dawn will hopefully swing it back in your favor. Warband 4 is longbows. Unlocked. So this is another interesting way to get longbows into the list. They are restricted in both the Mounted Noble Lord, the Crusader Noble Lord, and the Noble Lord on foot. So this is kind of flavor to taste, depending on how many points you have. You could do the full hammer, wolf pack thing where it's like 400 points of knights and then an MSU and then 2 MSU of longbowmen. You can do this where it's, just 2 MSU of household knights and then longbowmen at 4 stands. It really depends on what you have, to physically play yourself and what you like for longbows. But if you like 1 or 2 units of longbows, I think this is a great way to unlock them with the Mounted Noble Lord. Because they can jump over the longbows quite easily, and the longbows can arcing fire if need be over them, help protect the longbows and keep them fighting throughout the game. And then round 5 is the combined arms. So not only are you doing the household knights and the longbows, but you're getting a couple infantry in there. I like a couple unit of men at arms sometimes just to hold the point, be a bumper unit on a flank. Threaten, if you charge this unit, the men at arms will flank you, or if you charge the men at arms, this will flank you. It's a great, sticky unit. It's just something that they have to deal with, and if it's in a forest or something, it's deceptively harder to grind down. It's a great filler warband, and this is kind of highlighted here, just kind of like to taste. Let's fill it out with what points you have, what you have assembled. If you want to try something new in feudal, this is a great warband to find the room for it. generally what I found is the 2-minute arms just base with a longbow of up to 5 stands. I bumped it up to. I really like 5 stands of longbows. Makes it a little bit more expensive of a warband, but still really good. Got a couple of objective holders. You got something in the back threatening stuff, and then you got this big hammer unit of the household knights that can really do some work until you start getting into some of the really sturdy, heavy units. I guess as just an aside, as I mentioned that the household knight combo here, this heavy one, isn't like the end all be all. It kind of gets up to Crimson Tower levels, but not quite, because they can get Crimson Towers can get line breaker and stuff. So this is really good at punching down at light units and other basic medium units. It can't really punch up. It can kind of hold its own against a heavy, but what makes it so efficient is it's just good at punching down and decisively, impacting and devastating a stand so you don't take a lot of hitbacks and you clear it and then you charge another group and you just keep it going. All right, final thoughts. Kind of led into that a little bit already about the warband, but just want to point out again, this is a solid character with a lot of great warbands to build around. Great option to just fill out your army. I recommend, if you're doing 100 Kingdoms, you're probably going to have a use for Mounted Noble Lord and some Knights at some point. Just, to fill out your army, and it's a small amount of models to the gate. You're not painting like 24 household guard that aren't going to go in every list. But I think that you could honestly fit a Mounted Noble Lord and 3 Knights or 4 Knights in a lot of lists. Just don't throw them away. It's a lot of points. Don't charge them up the board on turn 3 to charge something and then get double flanked. You use the Mounted Noble Lord to threaten an objective zone. Be like, if you're going to move your medium unit onto it, I'm going to, punch you in round 3 and then follow up with this and follow up with that. Just don't throw away the Noble Lord. Well, anyway, that's how I like to run the Household Knight, or not the Household Knight, the Mounted Noble Lord. Let me know if you have a different heirloom or mastery setup, or if there's a different warband you like to do. How many Household Knights are you running? I've debated going up to like 5 or 6, just because I really love the models. It seems too expensive for me. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments and what you would like to see next. Thanks.